You are listening to We Saw the Devil, an investigative and conversational true crime podcast that deep dives into fascinating criminal cases that are solved, unsolved, or ongoing. From America's Lori Vallow to Germany's Armin Meiwes, we examine and discuss the world's most shocking cases. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to follow us online. Check us out at WeSawTheDevil.com and We Saw the Devil on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget, you can become part of the show by backing us on Patreon. Hello, everyone. You are listening to We Saw the Devil. This is Robin. And first of all, I'm so sorry if you're sick of me already this week, because I know you guys have heard from me more in the last week and a half than you probably have in a very long time, at least consistently. But I'm here with an update on the Moscow, Idaho student murders case. Guys, I just have to bitch for a second. I'm seriously about to lose my shit. It's something that I've witnessed a few times a year for a while now, when one of those, quote unquote cases hits. We've seen it with the Lori Vallow case, the Gabby Petito case, and now the Idaho murders. The sheer number of people just wilding out over, on social media, living their sad little life dream of being a detective or criminal profiler. I get it. We're all fascinated by this stuff. But I'm so sorry, honey, just because you've seen a couple Netflix documentaries and obsess over your theories in a true crime Facebook group, it does not mean that you're now Dog the Bounty Hunter. It's one thing to share vetted official information, either from actual media and official news sources. It's another thing entirely to make up shit, create imaginary scenarios and narratives, and then try to pass them off as fact. Like the magical 911 scenario involving the roommates and how they went upstairs and found Ethan in the kitchen floor, ran outside, one roommate passed out, a friend made the call, or neighbor, or another roommate. You see various stories have been posted so many times that it's all bleeding together. And it's always someone who knows someone who knows someone who is there, or they know someone who knows someone who works in the police department or coroner's office. Always the way it rolls. I've seen every single version of it. The true crime community, y'all, if you weren't aware, already has a pretty piss poor reputation for being full of armchair sleuths who think they know more than the police. If you are that person, please stop. You're embarrassing us. You're totally right, Melissa. You totally know more than the police do. They surely have never thought that an ex-boyfriend could be a suspect. The fact that the FBI is involved in assisting totally isn't helpful at all. You're totally right. I mean, why don't you share every single thing you think of or find on social media that makes absolutely no sense? I mean, seriously, you guys, scrolling through Reddit, perusing the Facebook group, and checking the Twitter hashtags of this case has enraged me. I almost developed Tourette's earlier this evening of just wanting to be like, fuck, because I'm so frustrated with it. The scream I scrummed earlier this evening when I was perusing Reddit and I saw someone say that they believe that the roommates planned it themselves, like the two girls who survived, the survivors, they believe that they planned it. Whoever posted that, if you are listening, you better get that information directly to Quantico. However will the FBI sleep tonight without your intellectual gifts to society, I just have no idea. And I know I'm being really petty and mean right now, but I'm actually kind of serious. 4 young people lost their lives in a truly, truly brutal, heinous, and horrific manner. And I understand that there's shock, fear, and an overall desire to get justice. I also realize and accept the fact that people really want to put a face to the murders, to the murderer. It's human nature. Why did this person do this? What were they thinking? What was the motive? The entire situation is relatively unique, but jarring nonetheless. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to filter bullshit from facts. The Lori Vallow case. If you came in midway into the Lori Vallow case and you didn't have all of the early context of the case and the who is who, God help you. You were just out there on your own in a wasteland of bullshit. Same thing with Gabby Petito. Remember how it was almost like we were all covering that so closely, and every single day someone saw Brian Laundrie in New York on the Appalachian Trail. Someone else saw him in Kansas on the side of the street with a broken down car. He was dead. He was quite literally dead in a swamp after having committed suicide. And the internet rumor mill, he went here, he went here. My cousin's brother's mother's monkey's owner saw him in this state. And then it would be posted so many times on social media, it would get so many people up into a tizzy and a frenzy that it would eventually spill over into real life. It's hard to filter bullshit from facts. Innocent people have had their lives uprooted and almost completely ruined, if not ruined, because of the public's obsession with true crime and trying to help solve the case. The internet makes it easy for wannabe web sleuths. And don't forget, in this case, in the Moscow 4 case, the neighbor of the victims, he wasn't even a neighbor, he lived like across the street, was a University of Idaho law student. He gave a few interviews and people immediately were like, he's mad suspicious. I don't like his vibes. So what happened to this poor fucker? He received death threats, harassment. People went and knocked on his door, like actual physical harassment, to the point where he voluntarily shut down his socials, had to leave his home temporarily, and then provided his DNA voluntarily in order to be cleared. That is sheer insanity. And this may seem cold, and I really don't want to come off this way at all. But Kaylee Gonsalves's father is not doing the investigation any favors at all. I realize that he lost a piece of his heart and soul when he lost one of his children. No parent in the world should send their child to college to better themselves, to get an education, and have them return to them in a box, as he bluntly put it. I cannot fathom the pain that he must be feeling. But hopping around on Fox News or any other news networks saying that he has no trust or faith in the police and releasing information the police weren't ready to be made public is not going to help. And I know that the Moscow Police Department, that they've only investigated one murder in the last 7 years. I mean, that's like hiring an electrician to completely rewire your house and all they've done is one socket. But the FBI is fully assisting. And the Moscow Police Department have committed a lot of man hours and time and money and effort into this case. Not only that, but the crime scene is incredibly complex, and I'm not sure enough people realize just how complex it may be. The reality is that that house has been a party house for like a decade. People come and go and came and went from that house on a damn near daily basis. How much blood and DNA do you think is in that home to begin with, in each of the rooms? Multiple timelines, 4 people plus involved, way more people than that, but at least when you're talking about the victims. Many people, a complex scene, lack of a murder weapon. And it's so complex, and honestly, we don't know at this juncture what evidence the police have. We have no idea, because they're being tight-lipped and holding the cards close to their chests, as they should. So I had just a couple news items and pieces that I wanted to go over. Like I said, this is going to be a very brief episode, and it's mainly being born out of anger and frustration at getting online and reading updates in the case and just people coming up with wild shit. One thing that I've noticed, and this happens in every case as well, multiple FBI agents have stepped forward either on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, local news, and even YouTube news shows. The most recent one I saw was today on Fox News, where a former FBI agent said that the suspect may have killed before and is unlikely to be a student. I've also seen other agents say completely different things, like the suspect had to have at least known one of them. It seemed to be personal. Another one said, oh, well, the murderer sexualizes his knife and probably has a fetish. You should look for people who are really into knives. Then another one said, the killer has to be younger and in great shape. Cool, so we're looking for a fucking track star. Another one said that he had to have been older, more involved, and likely murdered before. The theories from former FBI agents alone span every single side of the spectrum. And again, we have no idea. And neither do they, clearly. Because a singular profile, if this, was exact science, there's not a singular profile, or at least even one with even a handful of similarities. It's all across the board. I mean, it's actually wild if you look back at it. If you Google right now, Idaho 4 Idaho students FBI profiler or FBI agent, you're going to get like 30 interviews with former FBI agents. And every single one of them is going to give you a different profile of an entirely different age range, connection, story, background, whole bit. It's wild. But I see people sharing these like, oh my God. And then they focus and change their communications to try to fit whatever that agent interview stated. It's wild. Also, I don't really know he needs to hear this, and I'm just going to piss a lot of people off, and let's just go ahead and rip off this Band-Aid. I'm really, really sorry if this hurts your feelings, but psychics are bullshit. I'm sorry, but I want to cunt punch every single psychic I see online who's using a $4.99 Radio Shack radio to communicate with the dead. And by dead, I mean victims of heinous crimes. These people are predators, and in the immortal and wise words of Buddy the Elf, they sit on a throne of lies. I mean, it is disgusting. There was one who's focused particularly on the Lori Vallow case. You all know who I'm talking about, she who shall not be named. And she put out dozens of videos of her doing, quote, sessions with Tylee and JJ. And it was beyond disgusting. And I'm talking about she got to the point where she videoed herself supposedly talking to Tylee and JJ, like talking like she was holding a conversation with them, describing how they were brutally murdered, like describing it out loud. I have zero respect for these people whatsoever. Of course, she was wrong about most things, but much like astrology, people look for the facts and then try to force them into a mold like a child's freaking activity board. And God, the YouTube right now is strong with the psychics. So many of them, whether they're using spirit boxes or, trying to do a seance or commune or whatever it is that they're trying to pull one over on now. Please stop sharing them. I am begging you. It's offensive to the family. It's offensive to the friends. It's playing into this like grandiose sense of self-importance. And it's just really, really gross. Next up today, as a lot of people I believe know, the police began the process of bagging up and moving the belongings out of the homes so that they could be returned to the families. Because this crime has, God, we're going on several weeks now. Next up is the Jack Showalter rumor mill. That's been very active in the last 24, 48 hours. And I find this interesting because, again, police haven't said anything, but the internet has ID'd the hoodie person at the grub truck as Jack Showalter. We've heard everything from him being kicked out of a fraternity, him owning the same kind of combat knife, him driving 5 hours to his parents' cabin, supposedly that evening after the murders, to him now being in Africa. People have doxed his entire family and posted pictures of him and his family hunting, standing in front of an eviscerated animal carcass with knives. And none of this has been vetted. All of this has been posted by anonymous internet people of you have no idea who the hell they are. And they're like, Jack was kicked out of his fraternity for inappropriate behavior towards women. Okay, where is that stated? Where has the university said that? Has the fraternity said that? Has anyone involved with the fraternity officially said that? And the answer is no. The answer is no. And I hate to say it, but yet again, this is also an example of Kaylee's dad inserting himself into the investigation. And I hate to say it, and I hate to point it out, and my heart bleeds for him. And I'm sure he's in a lot of pain. But in an interview with the Post, he said, referring to Grub Truck Guy, whom many people assume is Jack Showalter, quote, "Some people came to us and said that he's out of the country. He didn't take a DNA test. So we would like police to tell us what his alibi was," end quote. And then he went on to say that he could move on if the police could confirm that his alibi was solid. Because don't forget, the police cleared a whole laundry list of people. It was posted in one of the second or third press releases that they put out, like a list of people who they had cleared. Lots and lots and lots of people being upset with the police. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Reaching out, harassing the police, tweeting the police, calling the police, emailing the police. So they put out a statement today of like, hey, look, well, they didn't put the statement out, but it was attributed to them via the Independent and out of the UK of, hey, just because we initially cleared someone doesn't mean that if we obtain a piece of evidence that we will re-interview them. Like, that's kind of how that rolls. We're not completely writing all of these people off yet. And here's the thing, guys. The police and FBI, neither organization, neither group owes anything to the families. It's more of a courtesy to keep them in a loop. They owe them nothing. Their job now is to investigate, solve the case, and then bring the murderer, the perpetrator of this, into custody so that, it can be processed through the system. What if clearing Jack publicly had been a lure, making him feel comfortable, right? Just saying that Jack could have been a POI, even though that's so highly unlikely. Again, we don't know what evidence the police or FBI have, but I think it's pretty clear that they aren't going to be sharing explicit details anytime soon, much less with Kaylee Gonsalvez's father. Today, the police also put out a press release stating that they are looking for a white Hyundai Elantra. And let's just go ahead and read that press release right now because it is pretty fascinating that came out. It did seem to come out of left field. So that was for immediate release out of the Moscow Police Department, Moscow, Idaho. Detectives are interested in speaking with the occupants of a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra with an unknown license plate. Tips and leads have led investigators to look for additional information about a vehicle being in the immediate area of the King Street residence during the early morning hours of November 13th. Investigators believe the occupants of the vehicle may have critical information to share regarding this case. If you know of or own a vehicle matching this description, or know of anyone who may have been driving this vehicle in the days preceding the day of the murders, please forward that information to the tip line. And then it says information can be submitted to tip line, email, or digital media. Your information, whether you believe it is significant or not, might be the piece of the puzzle that helps investigators solve these murders. And then it shows two stock images of a 2011 and to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Not the actual vehicle, but stock, kind of like just pictures of the model. At this time, no suspect has been identified, and only vetted information that does not hinder the investigation will be released to the public. We encourage referencing official releases for accurate information and updated progress. And then it provides a link to all press releases and information related to this case. So it sounds like to me that they got a digital clue, whether it's like CCTV footage, home security, dash cam, something, may have gotten one of those cars on video. I'm guessing that would be my absolute guess. I know that chest cam footage was made public, which basically there was a call at 3 a.m. on the same day of the murders. Law enforcement dispatched an officer for an alcohol-related incident, and it actually took place very, very close to the house where the four were killed. Law enforcement has come out and forthrightly said this is not connected in any way. But police did actually release a couple small short clips from their chest cam footage of their response to that case, which is literally useless and completely irrelevant to this case whatsoever, but apparently people were curious. And so I've seen like 10 posts on Reddit and on Twitter of people looking at this grainy ass chest cam footage from the middle of the night and seeing a white blur go across the screen and being like, there's the car. Just, can we stop? And then also, finally, last piece of information that came out today is that Fox News reported earlier today that a neighbor actually saw the front door of the King Road home wide open around 8:30 or 9 a.m. the morning of the homicides. No word. I mean, that has not obviously been confirmed by police. That was reported by a neighbor to Fox News. But that would be, crazy if that was true. Maybe police are still trying to find the entrance and the exit points by the perpetrator, because I know that is another very, very hot topic of people, even on YouTube, people who've gotten 3D renderings of the structure of the home itself, of the home, and showing, hey, here's the entrance, here's the exits, the stairs they go up, the one stair they would go up. How did this go down? How did this happen? It's going to be interesting to see where things go. Again, this is just such a tragic case. It's just so tragic. And I just feel, I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with you guys. Like, I am fascinated by true crime. It's the same reason in one of my way previous episodes, at least for me, I believe, of dealing with the fear of potentially being a victim. Like, my worst nightmare in this world is a home invasion. Like, that just... When I told you the story of the guy who almost, he was actively trying to break into my home, my parrot actually alerted me. I didn't sleep for like 2 weeks. Like, I actually got physically ill because I was so afraid. So I think that's why that and the psychological aspect are why I personally am invested in true crime. I have been since I was a very, very small child. I did like a 5th grade paper, or tried to, on Jack the Ripper. And then the principal actually called my parents to school and they were like, is she okay? So thanks for listening, guys. I just wanted to kind of shout into the ether. It's really frustrating seeing this, but we do have some new movement. There are some new things. Thank you so much for listening. Again, you've been listening to We Saw the Devil. I'm Robin. If you want to follow us, you can go to WeSawTheDevil.com and find everything. That is the mothership of Patreon, social media. Send us an email, all of that good stuff. And yeah, that's it. You guys will be hearing from me next. Unless something happens, unless the case is solved, unless something crazy happens, you'll be hearing from me next week. Because the other case that I've been covering, kind of, breaking news as it happens, is the Delphi murders case. Everyone knows Richard Allen, 50 years old, has been arrested. Well, the judge, Judge Francis Gull, the judge over, he's going to be over Richard Allen's trial, actually just filed or issued a temporary gag order. So what that means is that the prosecutors, the defense, the police, family members, everyone's barred from talking publicly about the case. There is a January 13th hearing, so it's very likely that could actually be extended. I actually find it's probably going to be extended considering the nature of this case. But yeah, we're probably not going to get a whole lot of additional details out of this for quite a while. So what that means is the next episode is going to be part 3 of the Dark Side of Disney, which finally getting into the good stuff, the good years. So I'm really, really excited about that. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Until next crime.